So I have to tell you this. I have a very interesting show for you today. From the fact that we're going to finally answer that big question, is the Huawei Honor ban finally completely and totally over? Because their phones have started to sell like hotcakes, but does that mean it's totally, totally over? Then the Asus ROG 2 phone, after ROG 1 made super headlines, this is the phone everybody's been waiting for. And boy, in this preview, I'm going to show you things you cannot believe are actually in a phone. Then we've got this, the Redmi K20 Pro. I've got this, the other phone that's made huge headlines, Oppo K3. And we'll do a shootout between 3 phones, including the Oppo K3, and declare one final winner. So what did I say? Very interesting show. Let's get started.
We answer the big burning question. Is the Huawei Honor ban finally over? What is the update? This Redmi flagship has it all. Great design, optics and speed. But is it the best flagship killer in the market? We tell you. Oppo brings the K3 at an aggressive price point. But is this phone the best in its segment? We find out. And we get our hands on the Asus ROG 2, and it is the best gaming smartphone there is.
And of course, let's get started first with all the news coming in from the world of mobiles.
All those who have been waiting for the Galaxy Fold, there is good news. Samsung's first foldable smartphone will go on sale from September in selected markets. The launch was delayed by screen problems earlier this year, and the delays costed the South Korean tech giant, which otherwise could have provided a decent bump in revenue. Analysts said headlines about glitches with sample folds would dampen consumer excitement around the launch, but nonetheless, we are waiting for it to come to India.
So we'll start off with this, the Asus ROG 2 phone. Let me just set this base and a little bit of history. When Asus came up with the first ROG phone, it really did set amazing headlines. This was the first true, real, hardcore, pure gaming phone. Now, a lot of companies have come out afterwards, but then when Asus decided they would now take it to the next level, which is Asus ROG 2, they really had to do some very interesting things. So this is a quick preview. I'm not showing you the main review because I'm not allowed to, but believe me, I'm going to tell you a lot in this preview that you really weren't expecting. So first and foremost is the processor itself. This is an enhanced version of the 855. This can really do some interesting things. With the way it runs, with the core, with the way it cools the phone down. The second part of it is the way the graphic processor works with this new enhanced version of the 855. The third part that I love about this is the screen. Have you seen again, even though it's not a 21:9, this is again a tall body design. It really makes a difference. The other part that I loved is overall the cooling, the system inside, the fan outside, the kind of things you can do to keep this so that your gaming session continues forever. Then take a look at the battery life. Now what I'm showing you as text out here, I'm not joking. This is the actual mAh of this phone, which makes it one of the best batteries ever on any phone. Yet, phone's very, very thin. And then that logo outside, the way it gives you that, the first ROG phone was a bit too much. So people who wanted to buy the phone for gaming were very thrilled, but people who wanted to buy it for high performance were like, okay, this is too much of a gaming phone. This is super sophisticated. So that then is the ROG 2. Lots and lots of more details when I do a full hands-on review. And now we're going to do this. This is, of course, not the retail version of the Redmi K20 Pro. This is, I think, the review version. If they're giving this box to you guys, then I would be very surprised. But the phone is very interesting. So let's take it out. The way they've actually done up this presentation box is amazing. Let's take a look at what they have. So first and straight away, they have this, the Redmi K20 series, flagship series, 5 years in the making. Thoda exaggeration ho jata hai. Specs, of course, absolutely top of the line, from a fantastic display to excellent optics, 48 megapixel, 13 and 8, so triple rear camera, very, very good screen, Gorilla Glass 5, Qualcomm Snapdragon 855. This is, of course, the Pro version. And in terms of design, in terms of battery, the charging, everything is fantastic. So now let's move on to lots and lots of stuff in here. Let's move on to the phone itself. Now, in this box, of course, they've given lots of covers, but I don't think you'll be... Now, in this presentation box, they've given you lots of covers. Once again, I don't think the retail version will have all of these. But now let's take out the phone itself. And I have to tell you, this is a very nice looking phone. So we've got what would be the reddish color of the phone. So fantastic screen, pop-up camera in the front, therefore no notch, a very good hand feel, fantastic finish at the back, really looks very nice. If you see the way the phone looks, it's fantastic. Already told you, triple camera, 48 megapixel is the main sensor, lots of other things they've done with it. So let's take a look at this. Does this make it the best phone in its category? Because that's what Redmi was aiming for when they took out the K20 Pro.
How do you feel after a healthy, wholesome meal? Great, satisfying and light, right? That's exactly how we feel about the new Xiaomi K20 Pro, a complete phone which is not too heavy on the pocket. One of the two phones that were launched as part of the new flagship series of Redmi, the K20 Pro is our favorite. In fact, we think that the K20 Pro is the ultimate flagship killer, and here is why. It's got the looks, the brain and the power to be able to do it all. Let's start with the design. Like the K20, the Pro 2 comes with Auro Prime design, which gives the phone a dual-tone display. We got the flame red variant, which is hot, fabulous and stands out from the crowd. The phone sits nicely in the hand and feels solid. There is a 3.5mm headphone jack on board. The all-screen phone has Corning Gorilla Glass 5 protecting it. There is an in-display fingerprint scanner which works fast. Like on the K20, there is P20i nano coating on the Pro 2, making it splash-proof. We like that Xiaomi has covered all the basics when it comes to design. The K20 Pro has a 6.3-inch Full HD Plus AMOLED display with no notch and no hole, giving a whole lot of real estate to watch videos and movies. There is high-res audio too, which enhances the phone's experience. Now coming to the optics. There is a triple camera setup on the back with a 48-megapixel AI main lens, a 13-megapixel ultra-angle wide lens and an 8-megapixel telephoto lens. The Sony sensor on the Pro is different and slightly better than one on the K20. The K20 Pro click good shots. We especially love the wide-angle capability and portrait on it. There is a night mode for clicking low-light pictures, and the 20-megapixel front camera pops up each time you want to unlock the phone with face unlock or click selfies. The pop-up camera is accompanied by the LED light. The red variant has a red LED, the glacier blue has a blue LED, and there is also an option to tune it off if you don't like it. We don't mind it, so we had it on. The front camera clicked decent selfies, and of course there is the beauty mode. The K20 Pro is a beast as it is powered by the Snapdragon 855 and comes in two variants of 6GB and 8GB. The phone is fast and snappy. Xiaomi has also managed to lure in the gamer inside of us as it features Game Boost 2.0. This mode lets you adjust the touch response and sensitivity of the panel to repeat taps for each game individually. It also claims to enhance visuals by making darker areas brighter in the game, making sure you have an advantage while playing games like PUBG and Fortnite. There is even an 8-layer graphite cooling system so that we don't end up burning our hands while playing games for hours.
A couple of other things that nobody else has that we've added. One is a visual enhancement. So it enhances the overall colors and the vibrancy when you are inside that game. Really helpful if you're playing something which is quite dark. Right? The dark obviously gets enhanced quite a bit, so you can see almost everything that's happening in the game, giving you an advantage that's coming in. And for a gamer, the other part that's really important is the touch response. So from the time you touch your screen to the time the character actually responds to it and does something, we've been able to adjust that as well. A normal touch sampling rate is 120 Hz. That means 120 times a second. But in the second generation Game Turbo, you can actually enhance it all the way to 180, giving you a 50% bump. So for those gamers who are wanting that extra performance, the K20 Pro also has that in the Game Turbo.
So were we impressed with the performance? Yes, we loved how the games loaded quickly and browsing was a breeze. The phone runs on Android 9 Pie with MIUI 10 on top. It also gets a system-wide dark mode that takes advantage of the AMOLED display to save power and is easier on the eyes. There is a 4000 mAh battery on board and the phone supports 27-watt sonic charge. The phone lasted us a day with full charge. The Xiaomi Redmi K20 Pro is launched in two variants, the 8GB plus 256GB RAM variant, which is priced at 30,999 rupees, and the 6GB plus 128GB variant, which costs 27,999 rupees. We know this is a new territory for the Redmi series and we don't expect Redmi phones to be priced this high, but here is what we think. The Xiaomi Redmi K20 Pro is a brilliant flagship. It is overstuffed with features and performs exceedingly well, and it still costs lesser than the premium flagships. So if your budget is about 28K to 30K, do consider the K20 Pro. It won't disappoint.
And now let's move on to the story that I think is the big one. Honor and Huawei phones are starting to sell in a big way. In fact, it may well have been one of the biggest selling phones on Amazon. That's what the PR release said when we got it. What does it really mean? Is the Huawei Honor ban completely over? Yes, the headline seems to suggest it, but I'm going to answer that properly today. So let's start. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. That's exactly what will happen now with Huawei. The entire controversy and conspiracy surrounding the advanced tech giant in the past few months may finally now be completely over. I know. You're wondering if the big ban on Huawei is finally absolutely over to the point that you can now safely buy one of their products. The answer to that hot question is in one word: almost. Let me first quickly give you a brief recap of what's happened since May this year. The US government had banned Huawei to do any business with any company based in the United States. Main reason given was Huawei is a Chinese spy, posed a risk to national security. Post this announcement, they said, we're giving you 90 days to Huawei and then we'll ban you in every which way. Meanwhile, the entire globe reacted to this unnecessary ban because this actually hits technology right in the teeth. A lot of countries and companies supported or went the other way and banned Huawei in the past few months. But here's what's happening now. At the Tokyo G20 summit, US President Donald Trump has said that companies based in America can resume selling their equipment and doing business with Huawei. This shows a potentially softer position on a key sticking point in the US-China trade war. Huawei is a world leader in developing technologies to support 5G networks, and the US lacks any significant 5G infrastructure vendors of its own. So my theory is that this entire ban was the outcome of trade war. It was just China, US ki ladai, and Huawei came right in the middle, had nothing to do with any spying activities by anything but that Huawei was actually doing. Huawei is also the second largest smartphone vendor in the world, and its phones like the P30 Pro and the Mate series are exceptional products, actually some of the best in the entire world. So if you own a Huawei Honor phone or are planning to buy one, you don't have to worry anymore. You'll get the upcoming security patches, Android updates. Also, Huawei plans to keep making smartphones which run Android. Huawei is too big, too important for global technology industries, and now with the negotiation changing the course and the ban more or less lifted, things are going to go back to normal very soon between the US government and China, and therefore Huawei. And may I predict, Huawei may well emerge much stronger post this fight. After all, they've made such big headlines all over the world. Even people who had never heard of either of these two companies, Huawei or Honor, now know them and know that they make great products. So could this really be a blessing for them eventually? And now we're moving on to our next story. This is the Oppo K3. But may I just tell you something very interesting that's happened? 3 or 4 phones came out with something very similar. Each had a pop-up camera. Therefore, each had a notchless screen. Each had a Snapdragon 7 series processor, fantastic battery life, very good-looking phone, and of course, the most important point was that they all had great optics. And out of all of them, the Oppo K3 seems to be the best priced and the best in features. So we're going to do 2 things. First, I will do a review of the Oppo K3. Then when I come back, I will actually do a triple shootout between this and 2 other very similar phones.
Oppo is taking on the under 20k segment with a new power punch. This is the Oppo K3. Following in on their online K series, and after the K1 comes this phone. The naming of the phone skips K2, but the real question is if the K3 has enough going for it to not merge in the crowd. Let's put it to test and see. The Oppo K3 is not a dramatically differently designed phone. It looks a little like the more premium Reno, but the finish is plasticky and the phone is prone to scratches. Maybe not so much in the front since it comes with a Corning Gorilla Glass 5 protection. But the back has a S-shaped light pattern which looks rather nice under light. We got the Aurora Blue Color Phone 4 review, which comes with a dual shade of blue and pink. The phone follows in on the trend of no notches with a pop-up camera on the top. The screen is completely full screen and watching videos was nice on the large 6.5-inch AMOLED display. It is a full HD Plus display, so the colors are sharp and the AMOLED display ensures it's slightly easy on the eyes. But the phone does come with visible bezels, especially in the bottom chin of the phone. There is an in-display fingerprint scanner which does reasonably okay, and there is an option to unlock the phone with face unlock as well, for which the camera pops out. The Oppo K3 scores brownie points for retaining the headphone jack. And now for the performance. The Oppo K3 is fueled by the Snapdragon 710 processor. It was adequately fast and we had no problem playing a game of PUBG on this phone. The software is slightly cluttered with various apps. This is the Color OS 6, which is based on Android 9 Pie. There's a 3765 mAh battery on board. This performs well and the phone will last a little more than a full day of heavy use. It supports VOOC 3.0 fast charge on USB Type-C as well, which is a big plus. How much will you have to shell out for the K3? Well, we got the 6GB RAM and 64GB storage variant for review, which is priced at 16,990 rupees. The phone also has a 8GB RAM variant, which is priced at 19,990 rupees. At this price point, it competes directly with the Realme X. But the primary difference between the two is in the optics. Realme goes with a 48-megapixel camera, while the Oppo K3 has a 16-megapixel primary lens and a 2-megapixel depth sensor. The images were okay in daylight, the clarity was good, but the colors seemed slightly enhanced. The low-light shots were nothing to write home about. The pop-up camera houses a 16-megapixel lens. The selfies turned out well, although the colors were slightly washed. If the phone drops while the pop-up camera is on, it retracts instantly, which can be a big savior. Overall, at 16,990 rupees, the Oppo K3 performs well on most fronts and checks off all the right boxes to be a promising phone in this segment. However, with the competition heating up in this space with the likes of Realme X and the Redmi K20, the smallest of specs can make big differences. And we wonder if the Oppo K3 will be able to hold its own in front of these phones.
Let's take a quick break right now. On the show, when we come back, lots more. So now that we are back, the Oppo K3 versus the Redmi K20 versus the Realme X. All three phones, on first glance at both the phones itself visually, as well as a quick look at the specs and features, seem very similar. But remember, this is a triple shootout. Only one can win.
When three phones come so close together, not just with their launches but with price points and even specifications, we have only one way to describe them: the pop-up triplets. Yes, the Realme X, Xiaomi's K20 and the Oppo K3 all come with a pop-up front camera and a full-screen display. Now, there's no way to say who's taken a leaf out of whose page, but the specifications and price points are eerily similar. We listed out all for you and even tell you which phone is the one to look at out of all these three. So let's get started. When put together, all these three phones look identical from the front with their full-screen displays. In fact, the size of the screens are almost the same. The Realme X has the largest screen, and all three phones come with a full HD Plus and an AMOLED display. From the back, the Realme X stands out with a premium finish. The polar white color is refreshing. The Redmi K20 also stands out in terms of design. All three phones sport an in-display fingerprint scanner to open the phone. In terms of performance, the K20 is slightly ahead with the Snapdragon 730 chipset. That is a step ahead of the Snapdragon 710 that the Oppo and Realme phones sport. Gaming on the K20 is very smooth. It has a dedicated Game Turbo 2.0 mode that really enhances the gaming experience. In fact, the Redmi K20 is slightly ahead in terms of battery as well, with a 4000 mAh battery. We found that the Realme X runs really long as well, and it supports VOOC 3.0 fast charge that juices up the phone in no time. Coming to the software, the Oppo K3 and the Realme X have exactly the same skin running on it, Color OS 6. Xiaomi runs on MIUI 10, a slightly neater OS. But which of the three cameras win in the battle of optics? The Redmi K20 has a triple camera setup at the back with a 48-megapixel lens. The Oppo and Realme go with a dual camera setup, but the Realme X is a bit ahead with a 48-megapixel camera. Overall, we found the shots in the Realme X to be particularly impressive. The Redmi K20 gives a lot of versatility with its various lenses, but the Realme X keeps the colors a little more real while giving stunning details on images. And now, which pop-up delivers the punch? Well, with a 20-megapixel lens on its pop-up, the Redmi K20 gave us very impressive selfies. The edge details and the colors were good and slightly better than Realme and Oppo. Watching videos is a breeze on all three phones with their stunning display, but the Realme X comes with Dolby Atmos and scores some extra points there. But it all boils down to which one gives you a sweeter deal for its price tag. The Redmi K20 crosses the 20k mark and the Oppo K3 and the Realme X are priced nearly identically. The Oppo K3 gives a higher RAM though for the same price. And now for our verdict on which phone stands tall here. All phones are impressive, having brought features like an AMOLED screen, an in-display fingerprint scanner, 48 megapixel lenses and pop-up cameras to the 20K segment. The Realme X is ahead with its camera capabilities, but the Redmi K20 houses a stellar processor and is a better gaming phone. So if gaming is on top of your list, you can go with the K20. But if price is a big factor, then the Realme X offers an unmissable proposition.
All right, then that was the show for today. But do remember, we've got again a great amount of interesting things lined up for you next week. Take a quick look. We'll be back next week.